Hello everyone and welcome to the Hobby Guard. In today's video, first of all, let me begin by apologizing. I've been very sick lately. My voice has been hurting like hell. So you will see some of the videos that I'll upload were pre-recorded, but this one is pretty temporary because I thought this was not urgent per se, but important, let's say, to address, time sensitive, if you will. Because I'll be reading off of the comments of a video that I did last week. And again, apologies, I've been very sick. My wife traveled to our land of birth and she brought back the bubonic plague from it. So, yeah. Anyways, and I think this is an important topic because it is regarding... So my video basically was the finale for... the review for the finale for the Warhammer TV show Penitence. And in that video, I specifically talk about whether the finale could be considered actual Grimdark or Grimderp. You can see those meds are kicking in, eh? Now, the difference between Grimdark and Grimderp is just lazy writing. Bad stuff happens for the sake of bad stuff happening. It's just edgy for the sake of being edgy. It doesn't quite feel as earned. Whereas actual good Grimdark, it all has it serves a purpose. You know, the bad things that happen in the story, they serve a narrative purpose, and I understand that these things are subjective, and that is why I sorry that is what I in this review video that I made, I was saying, like, yeah, I think the chapter, to an extent, the finale, spoilers by the way, in case you haven't seen the finale, obviously, it could be considered Grimderp because it feels like it comes out of nowhere, but from my point of view, it wasn't quite so. It was like, okay, this makes sense in world, even if it doesn't make sense to us, right? And there was a lot of debate in the comments, which I love to see, a lot of conversation going on, which I love to see. That's certainly one of my favorite things to get into in this channel. So yeah, I thought I would just read some of the comments with you. And hold on, let me turn off this light here because I'm very photosensitive right now. Apologies. There you go. Yeah, you might have a harder time seeing my face, but this is the only way I can get through this. Anyways. So we can see here right away, Swimmer's Pack says Grimderp indeed. So right away we can see some people actually right off the bat do consider these to be Grimderp. And then Shia Sky says, 1654 says, I feel like the sisters who put her into that engine seem to have a vendetta. Like, it doesn't make... sorry about that. Where they live in... Like, it doesn't make sense. Why they would just throw her into the engine without any reasoning? If she martyred herself, the mission would have failed. The other sister lost their lives to get the remains to the temple just for her to die with them. Yes, that's exactly what I mean, right? Like, it's too much open for interpretation. I do have a favorite comment here that I want to read. I'll get to it, I guess, eventually, but it makes an extremely good point, which is you have to take the finale for the show in context with finales for other shows in Warhammer TV that we have already seen before, right? So yeah, basically the answer to what Shia Sky is saying there is, well, the argument is not a rational one, right? She's not supposed to have survived, and I totally agree with what this person is saying. Like, yeah, those sisters certainly seem to have like a personal issue with the novitiate who survived the trial and the penance, and they didn't consider her to be free from that. So that's why it kind of feels like it came out of nowhere, because in narrative terms there is something called the promise, or sometimes the promise is the setup, right? Whereas you're telling your viewer or reader what's going to happen, you're explaining to them the rules, and that's why this feels so unearned at the end. I don't want to get like too technical here, right? But basically, I think she was a paladin. I forget what her name was. It was something Hispanic sounding, so I should remember. Was it like Salazar or something? Anyways, she basically the veteran sister of battle that was helping the novitiate and the one who argued for her. She basically laid out the rules, like, okay, if you are making penance, you made a sin, you committed a sin by killing another novitiate, but that's why we're here. I have faith in you, and if we get through this, you will be free from all guilt finally. But in the end, when she goes through that, it turns out it didn't actually matter, right? So it's kind of a switcheroo of the promise that we had gotten previously, like, oh, this was supposed to be it, and it just came out of nowhere. There wasn't a setup for this other random group of Sisters of Battle that came. Ubiquity Official 4363 says, people flamed me in another comment section when I stated how Grimderp this is. I 100% expected the novitiate to have been corrupted, not necessarily by chaos, but her own ego, hence the vision sticking with her after completing her quest, and to get a grim end after soling the canoness's skull. But no, she is actually pure of heart, honoring both a palatine's promise and her own order's pilgrimage. The Sister Superior acts faithlessly and contrary to the Sisters of Battle's own custom, out of nowhere, simply saying, lol, I don't give an F. Besides, an anchorite penance is reserved for repentias who fled the battle or disobeyed orders that put other sisters at risk. This is not a good time to be reading for me right now. Sorry about that. Sorry I have to put you through this. Feel free to just pause the video and read the comment yourself. Sorry. Not for a novitiate. Even in Rage, new novitiates often kill each other in trials, so that makes no sense. Yeah, that does not make too much sense. I will say, I don't think that well, of course, Sister Repentias are obviously Sisters of Battle, but I don't think that these engines that they get put in are exclusive for the Sisters of Battle. I think they're just for members of the ecclesiarchy in general, usually high-ranking members, people they want to make an example out of, and only high-ranking members would be able to commit like the highest treason, the highest sin, right? So it does feel weird that just a novitiate you would punish her so. But the comment continues. It is shown in the lore that while absolutely cruel and very merciless to heretics, sisters will always act upon either faith or their order's tradition, not petty vendetta. I mean, Argenta kills a rogue trader in the game without hesitation because of a minor chaos-related artifact despite years of friendship. Darn. Imagine if Morvenval had been gunned down out of jealousy on Sanctum Liz because she had knowledge of a relic she could not possibly possess. Or if it had been Celestine, since she was an outright repentia that could not redeem herself true enough. Besides, it is yet another time, and this is, by the way, a quick aside, this is for me like the strongest argument here. Besides, it is yet another time where, I assume he meant to say GW, Games Workshop, completely flips the story on its head in the last 2 minutes of a story without a coherent build-up. That's exactly what I was saying, right? It only worked once in the Tithe episode about Sakan because by the end of it, we had forgotten about the Death Mark. I want grey stories with conflicting resolution, not pure retardation every single time. Edit. I say this as a Sisters of Battle player on the tabletop. that loves to grant the Emperor's mercy anyone ever so slightly heretical. El Mao. And yeah, I absolutely love this comment. Oh, I didn't see his last comment actually. He replied, but I said I think you make a pretty convincing argument, and you're certainly making me second guess myself. And the reason I say that is because yes, I had not taken into account what this person was saying, right? Putting this show in context of other shows. First of all, the Tithes, well, there's 2 episodes of the Tithes, right? There's like the one with the soldiers. I might be getting them mixed. That might have been a Hammer and Bolter one, but there is one with the, I think they're like Karskin or some sort of special forces. They seem, or maybe they're just random Cadians. But the one with the commissar where the orcs are attacking the world and they are grabbing the munitions and flying out of there, but in the end, they didn't even take the munitions. Kind of a spoiler, sorry about that. But I think that's the one he's referring to, but we're talking about a 20-something minute episode. And just to have the script flipped that way in a short episode is not the same as watching a 3-episode show, which is kind of a short film altogether. If you put them all together, it's probably about an hour long. Probably a bit longer, actually. So it wouldn't even be a short film, it would just be a film. And it's not the same, because again, you have, as this person says here, you had more time to work on a coherent narrative, a coherent story, which has a conflicting resolution. So I agree with that. And then this person said again, I agree in spirit with you, it's just that it could have been done far better and much more in line with Sisters. Especially if you play on the novitiate's vision as an act of faith, like the tabletop rules, guiding her, but also it could be an embodiment of selfish ego. Proper Grimdark using the strength of Sisters' lore. Yes, and that was certainly, if you watch my video original, or sorry, not my original video, please, my original video, you will see that that was kind of my interpretation. Like maybe the sister got a bit too full of herself, and afterwards that's why she ended up paying with her life in a weird kind of karmic, cosmic resolution for her. But we don't know, right? It just came across as she met her fate because bad luck, you know, because Grimderp. So yeah, certainly a good comment. And let this person know that I'm making a video for the reply. Innocence proves nothing by joint David Luna Cardoso 1410. So yeah, true enough, innocence proves nothing. And then, this is the first time I'm seeing here, but it seems like we have a kind of a thread going on. This is the first time I'm reading this. Maybe I don't know if I should get into it, but I guess I'll see. You guys expecting religious fanatics to act with reason is the real derp. Well, Thaddeus, I don't think... I think that line of thought is exactly what leads to Grimderp, right? If you're thinking, okay, this person is a religious fanatic, ergo, they cannot make reasonable arguments in any way, I think that's how you end up with Grimderp. With just people being stupid because they're stupid, right? Characters being silly because they're silly, and that's how you end up with meme characters, with meme factions. One sec. Sorry about that. So it will be a lot more interesting to have a character who just has very religious convictions, but can also be very reasonable in certain aspects. For example, the Sisters of Battle, not in this show, but in the lore, are supposed to be extremely well trained in combat, and they are supposed to have an incredibly high tactical combat IQ. Not as high as a Space Marine, obviously, but high enough that they can stand above your average guardsman or planetary defense force in terms of when they're in a firefight. And the reason I say why not in the show, because obviously the show is more, it takes artistic liberties, it's not very realistic in the firefights, but there are very cool hand to hand fights where we get to see how tough the Sisters of Battle actually are. And if you're thinking, well, a religious fanatic can't make that sort of rational decision, they can't act with reason, then you're just giving in to the memes, like, oh yeah, no, everyone in Warhammer has to be stupid because it's Warhammer. So that's not how I like to consume my lore. I like to take it more seriously. Not saying I don't enjoy a funny meme, not saying I can't enjoy funny moments in the lore. It's just it hits harder when you actually take it seriously, take it as if you were reading a real story. You're putting you're immersing yourself, in the story. And I could give you many examples in both literature and cinemas and just any sort of story of characters that are like this. For example, in the movie No Country for Old Men, the character that Javier Bardem plays in that movie, he's extremely rational. It's very scary how rational and eloquent he seems, right? But he also sees himself as a weapon of fate, as a tool of fate, right? So when he meets someone whose fate he hasn't decided, or their fate is undecided, he flips a coin, right? So to decide whether he's gonna take their life or not. So that is an extremely effective character with a lot of narrative impact. And it's not the only one, right? There's many. It's just my brain is addled by myths right now, so I can't really think of any others at the moment. But let's carry on. So unfortunately, I was hoping we might have like an interesting discussion here in the 70 something replies, but no, it's just a back and forward. And for what it's worth, there was a potential for an interesting discussion, but it just devolved into ad hominems. But for what it's worth, again, I agree, I think, with what Tartus 4916 is trying to say. He says everyone acts with a Everyone acts with a reason, including groups, factions. If you're confusing reason, you are confusing reason with being rational. And that's not exactly what I just said, but again, I think fanatics can... okay, so I think what Tartus is trying to say is like, yeah, the reason is being fanatical, zealots, religious zealots, but that doesn't mean that they can't be rational about it, right? Because people rationalize anything, and that's scary when someone, even a villain, is so rational that they can convince you that they're right, even though you feel it in your heart that they are wrong, right? So that's just one of many examples, and I think there was a very, very interesting discussion there. But Tartus unfortunately took this, started like being demeaning to the other fella, and the argument just evolved into, again, just a back and forward, so no use covering that. But anyways, I thought that there were some interesting comments, so I really want to thank everyone who commented. And yeah, just try not to fight in the comments like that. Try to be nice to each other, even if you disagree. Obviously, this fella here, Thaddeus, didn't start commenting with the best attitude. You guys expecting religious fanatics to act with reason is a real derp. So he's basically calling us derps, whatever. Whatever, dude. Sorry, we're just talking about something that we like. Sorry, we're enjoying it, not the way you like it. But anyways, yeah, try to stay friendly as much as you can. But that being said, I do love people. I do love people commenting on my videos and interacting with each other. Hopefully it'll be nicer next time. But feel free to just be a part of the conversation, right? I love it. And again, thanks for the comments, all the comments, but specifically Ubiquity Official. I really hadn't thought of like taking the ending to this show in the Ew, it's kind of distressing seeing my face there 2 times when I looked healthier. But anyways, we have to take the ending to the show in the context of other shows and the more recent Warhammer work that has been produced, not only shows but books as well. And I do believe that it is important because I think it's cool that sometimes GW listens to us. Sometimes they overcorrect, but whatever. That it didn't used to be so back in the day, maybe not as much, but if they're gonna listen to someone, I just wanna voice out my own opinions, and I think it's cool to just nail down what we actually want from a Grimdark story. Grimdark is supposed to be mature. It's not to say that there can't be silliness in it. There's silliness aplenty, but if we are meant to enjoy it more, if there is meant to be a mature adult audience, intellectually mature at least, maybe not in years, but at least with the yearning for more mature and intellectually rewarding stories, then they should probably work a bit better on their execution. And all things considered, I did enjoy the show. I did enjoy making reviews of the show, but the ending was certainly a bit concerning, and I don't know what that speaks for the future of Warhammer TV, since again it's not the first time that this happened. But hey, I have hope, right? The Emperor protects. With that being said, thanks for coming, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go crash down on my bed, and remember, Ad Astra, and there are no female custodies.